Hey everybody, this is Brian with the Instructional Technology Coordinator team, and I am here with you on a video that just walks through Blackboard course design and how putting content into a course plays out for a mobile device. One of the key things that we always try to remind people of in their course design is that they have to consider above all else the end user experience. So how does the student, how does the parent interact with that content on the various devices that they'll use. And while we can't consider every situation, and we truly don't want to be paralyzed by overthinking this, having a few tips to consider, the right way to maybe build a course so that it's more accessible by all can always be helpful. So here's an example of a course that I am in right now, and course is really fully built out, and it has a lot of content in it. So we're past the structuring of the course and kind of creating the outline of the course. Now we've got content in here that students need to interact with. What we have here is a series of files. And when we go to the build mode, build content, we've got two options, item and file. The recommendation from our team is to use the item because it gives us more flexibility on a wider variety of devices. But what you see here are a series of files represented by this icon, which is a single sheet of paper. I'm going to go back into student mode here. And what I've got is some documents here that end in assessment review 3.1.docx. And that docx tells me that this is a file that was originally built in a Word document or as a Word document in a newer version of Word. And so when you get on different platforms and different mobile devices, this isn't going to work quite as nicely or as easily unless we build this a certain way. So here on a laptop, fully functional laptop, when I click that, you'll notice here it says your download will start shortly, and if it doesn't, I can click here. And I can save this as, okay, and then I can save it to the desktop, and I can open that up later, and it'll open in a different program such as Word or Pages or something like that. So that's a function that when you're used to working with a fully functional desktop or laptop, that's a function that's there. And so these items and files, it really doesn't make a huge difference. Now I'm going to show you that exact same course on an iPad and how that looks. So let me get this pulled up here. I'm going to be browsing in Safari here, which is the onboard browser. There are others, and I'm just going to back out so you can see what this looks like. Okay. So I've got this exact same one here, and you'll notice I'm in the Blackboard course under Assessment Review 3.1. And when I click on that Assessment Review 3.1.docx, what it will do for me is it will display that file for me, but you'll notice a couple of things about that display. For instance, here I've got a piece that's chopped off. If I were to switch into landscape mode, let me quickly do that for you. If I were to switch into landscape mode, and I'll just scroll down. You'll see that still happens to be the case by the way that that file downloads. And it does show me, all of the content. But the reality is, it seems as if I would need to be able to interact with this. And if I need to interact with this digitally, I actually can't do it because it's an item. I'm sorry, it's a file instead of an item. So there's no editing here. It's basically just a picture of it, kind of like a PDF would be. So what I'm going to do then is show you another version of this that we put on. Back off here just a second. It's the exact same file, so Assessment Review 3.2.docx, exact same file, but you'll notice here it is an item instead, and that is represented by this kind of file folder with a piece of paper stuck into it. Lots of advantages to the item. One, I can put a description with it. Two, I can put multiple files here and more than one attachment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to click on the same thing here, and you'll notice nothing too exciting happens. It still have the same issues that I had before. Okay, still got pieces cut off to it, but because I'm in Safari, which is the key to this, you'll notice that I have a new option here, and it's a little hard to see here, but I can open in Pages, which is the onboard Word editor, or if I have a different program I need to open it in, I can do that. So what I'm going to do is open this one in Pages. You'll see it pop up here. Sure. Now it's going to give me a warning if there's anything that isn't going to function. For instance, here we've got some missing fonts that they replaced and put a different font in. But when I go to open that up in Pages, you'll notice now I've got my full chart here. I've also got the ability to put a cursor on board, and excuse my inability to actually solve a math problem here, but you'll see that I'm typing right within the document. So this is a way to allow students to actually interact with the document. And then one final nice feature about having it in something like Pages is if they have their email available, meaning that it's entered onto their computer, or onto their iPad I should say. Let's do this. Got to get back out here. Okay. I can select that, and I can email that document back to my teacher digitally so that it gets turned in that way. So if you need students to interact with files, uploading them as an item instead of a file is really going to be the only way that they can do that if they're on something like an iPad. So hopefully that clarifies the differences between item and file, and also shows how students can interact on a mobile device. Thanks for listening. As always, feel free to email us with questions.